So I think we are going to have a conversation here about the results of our executive function quiz. And I think mine was spot on.
Really?
Yep.
Well, I was surprised by mine this time.
Well, first of all, let me find it. That's an executive function problem.
Well, I've got mine right here.
What you do, probably typed, up with
Jenny, that's not funny. I see you laughing.
with strategies to intervene.
I did fill that part out, though. No kidding, I did fill that out. Okay, but what we're talking about is the executive skills questionnaire that's put out by Peg Dawson and Richard Guar. It's linked in the HyperDoc and in the Kumo space. If you also want to see how you're doing with executive functions. Did you find it, Gretchen?
Yes, see, look, here's mine. I had to write my stuff on a piece of paper.
Gretchen.
Because I couldn't find it.
Same thing.
So, yeah. So, it looks at your strengths and your weaknesses. And so I would like to talk about our strengths first, because I do feel like I am stress tolerant. That is what was one of my strengths.
So they define stress tolerance as thriving in stressful situations, coping with uncertainty and change and performance demands. And so I think that's good for this job because, stuff comes at us from all angles all the time.
It is. And I think you've learned that about me as a team, as part of your community. So, hey, if I put a deadline for her, then she may not work on it until right before, but it'll be okay. She'll get it done and it'll be good. And I feel like I work better under pressure.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that me giving you that deadline is supportive of you, because that's one of my strengths is task initiation and being able to kind of see the big picture and play out that goal in chunks over time. So we work well together in that way, Gretchen.
Yeah, well, and task initiation was one of my weaknesses too. So,
Jenny, what was one of your strengths?
Mine are the exact same as Gretchen's: stress tolerance and flexibility.
Hey, guess what? Not that either of you are going to be surprised by this, but flexibility was one of my weakest. I'm working on it. I am trying to be more flexible, and working with you guys definitely helps me be appreciative that my brain does not work like everybody else's, and that having a team with a lot of neurodiversity is to my benefit. And I enjoy you guys bringing that balance.
My third lowest was task initiation. For me, I am able to initiate tasks. It's task completion where it's more of an issue for me, but the way the questions were worded, it fit under this as task initiation. So I wonder if it's the same for Gretchen, since that was one of her bottom scores.
If you guys are taking this quiz yourself, they're broken out, I think, into 12 different executive functions. They all heavily intertwine and depend on one another. And I think we'll all learn that as we kind of go through this journey, learning more about executive functions. But you guys are obviously successful people. So what are you doing that allows you to complete your tasks? Because you said it was a struggle.
We have good teammates, right, Jenny?
Absolutely. That is one piece of it.
And you live with your notebooks, both of you do. You just held them up.
I also use a Pomodoro timer, tomato timer. You may have heard it called different things. They have a website, and then they have apps you can download. That's effective for me.
I did want to tell you guys that my scores, like I found the one that I took at the conference. I found them so I could compare them, because I did not rate myself near as low in the area of emotional control as I did this time. And so that came up as one of my weaknesses. And it it feels that way because I still have that raw spot from losing my dad. And so I wondered, how other people and kids and everybody going through this collective trauma around COVID and how all of our executive functions are being impacted right now.
I think that's a really good point. I've taken this 3 times, I think, total, over several years. And while my working memory and sustained attention continue to be very low, I've had some variance in some of my mid-range scores. So I do think it depends what's going on in your life.
I really think using a strengths-based approach to assignments and responsibilities has helped me. And that's something that our team has taken the time to learn that about one another.
I had organization and task initiation as two of my strengths. And on our projects, I feel like I'm able to provide that piece of the puzzle, but it enormously stymies my ability to be creative because I'm just like, oh, I got to get this done, this done, this done. And you and Jenny are two of the most creative people that I've ever worked with. And so I think that's neat how it shines differently,
It's funny because Jenny and I don't think we think of ourselves as creative, like not crafty creative, maybe in other ways creative thinkers.
You guys drag me out of the box in your perspective on things. So not just your creativity, but your thought processes and your ability to be flexible. That's your strengths,
And on the flip side, you help rein me in when I need to be pulled back to a little bit of structure, like the documents that we have where we outline trainings, and there's even a clause in there for the neurodiverse people, like do not have to take notes, which is excellent for me. So I think as
a necessity for me.
Yes, we have a lot of pieces in place that fit all of our styles.
I agree.
And I think it's helped us be aware of the people that we work with, not just internally, but externally, and to share with them that many of our students have these issues as well, and trying to work with them on their strengths and help them realize what their strengths are and support the areas where they struggle.
And being able to put a name to it after taking this quiz was really supportive in our efforts to continue to be a better team and to, gel as a group. And I think that would be so great in a classroom too, just to acknowledge, like, who are my task initiators? Okay, if you're not a task initiator, go sit next to somebody who is, just so that it's okay. Who are my extremely flexible thinkers? Because we're going to have an assembly this afternoon and our whole afternoon is going to be thrown off. So if you're not a flexible thinker, go stand beside somebody who is, just to kind of give some support and awareness to neurodiversity and that it's okay. You don't have to beat yourself up because you're not organized. You just have to have some strategies and pick the right group mates.
I feel kind of good that there are some strategies out there that adults can use, as well as educators can share with their students, specifically those students who maybe are struggling academically or functionally because of some of the deficits in these skills. I look forward to learning more about that in the future.
And that's what this whole series is going to dive into. The next release will have a little bit more detail about what are the executive functions and some great resources to help people cement their understanding. And then we'll just dive right into some great tier 1 strategies.